What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Headliner Mindset Podcast. Now, for those of you that are regular listeners, you're probably wondering to yourself, wait a minute, why does this intro sound different? This is not the normal way that we do things over here at the Headliner Mindset Podcast, but that's because this is the first time that I'm going to do a solo episode, which is kind of exciting, also kind of weird. It's weird to be sitting here not talking to a guest. But I wanted to do things a little bit differently this week. And part of that is because I'm actually going to be taking a very short break just for the month of December. This is going to be the last episode that I put out for the year. I'm going to take a few weeks off and really just reassess like where I want to take this thing. You know, this is the 79th episode. I've done this 79 weeks. I think I only missed 1 week so far, which is pretty cool. I'm definitely proud of that. And I got to just, of course, pop in and just say thank you all so much for listening, for all of the support. It's been pretty amazing to see what this has grown to be. I had really no big plans or vision for it. I was thinking at first, hey, let me just start interviewing some of my friends and some of my, homies in the music industry. And now it's turned into a whole community. And I'm really, really excited about that. So don't get that twisted. I'm coming back. I just want to take a couple weeks to stack up some really fire episodes to come into 2025. Also, just to give myself a little bit of break. I'm not going to lie. This is a lot of hard work to do this every single week. So I'm going to take a few weeks off to, enjoy the holidays and also really put some time and energy into making my online coaching program and community better. Just want to add a bunch more content to that. So, your boy's only got so many hours in the day. Now, with all that being said, I had this idea the other day where I thought about what have been the most common topics and lessons and pieces of advice that all of my guests have given so far. And for those of you that are not using ChatGPT yet, you got to get on it. I was like such a late bloomer. I was kind of resisting it. I was like, I don't really see the purpose of this thing, but I've started using it recently and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. I can just upload all of my transcripts from all 78 episodes that I've done and have ChatGPT analyze them and look for what have been the most common lessons, topics, and pieces of advice. So that's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I want to share. As I'm kind of wrapping up the year a little bit early, I was just thinking, what are some of the most common things that we've talked about in here? So I'm going to break those down for you guys. These are the 5 biggest lessons from the Headliner Mindset podcast so far. So number 1 is resilience. Being on the path of being an artist, pursuing this dream, pursuing this really huge goal is going to come with a lot of challenge. For anyone that's listening as an artist, you know that, right? It's a hard thing. You guys are choosing to take the road less traveled. So many other careers and paths, there's a roadmap and it's been laid out and it's just simply a lot easier. It's less competitive. Being an artist and choosing to take this path and go on this journey is going to come with a lot of challenges, and it 100% requires you to have a very resilient mindset and character, right? A lot of things are going to come up. There's going to be days that you want to quit. There's going to be days where you want to, smash your fucking head into the laptop and throw it across the room. There's going to be challenges that come with the industry, right? Just like learning how to navigate the business, trying to figure that out. Relationship challenges, personality and ego challenges. There's so much stuff that comes with it. And you just have to be able to really dig in and persevere. And so this has been brought up so many times. Just off the top of my head, I'm thinking about the conversation I had with West End just a few weeks ago where he was like, it's really a matter of just sticking with it. Like everybody that I know that has made it have been the ones that haven't quit. And I've seen that as well. I think for so many of the guests that I have come on, like they've been doing it for like 10 years. It's kind of like the average minimum amount of time. And so for those of you that are, in year 2, year 3, maybe you're getting frustrated, like, oh, damn, I want this to happen. Why is this not happening yet? Like, you got to be in it for the long haul and be down to weather the storm when it comes, to weather the challenges. And, I can speak for myself, someone who also has taken the road less traveled. I decided to start my own business. It's been, 5 years now as a full-time coach, full-time self-employed. 7 years since I started doing this. I did it for about 2 years kind of as the part-time hustle, but I've been out on my own for 5 years, and I'll tell you, as an entrepreneur, which is exactly what you are, it is going to come with a lot of moments of doubt, a lot of moments of second guessing, a lot of moments of like, what the fuck am I doing? And you're going to get tested, right? It's like no risk, no reward. You don't get the reward of attaining your goals and dreams without taking the risk, without putting yourself on the line. Something that I always tell my clients, and you guys have probably heard me talk about here on the podcast before, is you got to get in the arena, right? So many people are playing it safe and sitting on the sidelines, eating their hot dogs and popcorn and just watching everybody else like really get after it and really go after their dreams. And as an artist, you're deciding, especially if you're like, I want to do this full time. I want to actually really become a headlining artist. I want to tour. I want to, achieve all of these goals and dreams that you have. Like, you got to get in the fucking arena. And what I always tell my clients is it's not a matter of if you get hurt, of if you fail. It's just a matter of when. That comes with the territory. That comes with the territory of being in the arena. You're going to get punched. You're going to get stabbed. You're going to get kicked. You're going to get fucked up. You're going to feel pain, straight up. You're going to face rejection. You're going to face a lot of hardship and a lot of struggle, and that just comes with the territory. So I think it really helps to just accept that. It's going to come with the territory. It's going to require you to get a little bit bloody, a little bit dirty, a little bit messy. And so when we really embrace that, we know what we're getting ourselves into, and we can have a lot less resistance to it. It's like, okay, cool. I know I'm going to have to just dig my heels in and grind through this shit sometimes, right? It shouldn't always be hard. And I know I'm painting a very, bloody portrait here, but it should be a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It should be fun, but it's also, there's going to be those days. There's going to be those times. And it's just really sticking with it. There's like that idea of being 3 inches from gold. Sometimes you just got to keep digging because you're super, super close, and it's going to get hard, but you just can't throw in the towel. That's really it. For myself, this last year has been the first year that like my business has really started doing well. And it took me, 4 years of full-time work to get there. It took me, 6 years of working on the business to really get it to that place. And a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, like I almost quit twice. I got to that point where I was like down to my last client, and I was like, yeah, I'm not taking anybody else on. I think I'm done. This shit is too hard. I'm just going to go get a regular job. I'm going to throw in the towel and just go get a normal fucking job. And thank God, I stuck with it and really came down to that last thread, So if that's you, if you're at that point of second guessing and like, damn, do I really want to keep doing this? I hope that you take this as a message of inspiration, because it's something that so many people, over half the guests on my podcast so far, have talked about. You just got to tough it out. Have that faith, keep going, and trust that things are going to work out for you. Now, lesson number 2, stay authentic. I love this one so much. It was brought up 21 times in 21 different episodes, and I think it really is so, so important, because this is what being an artist is all about. It's about expressing yourself, right? It's about putting your twist and your expression, your flavor, your juice, your swag on whatever it is that you're creating and bringing that to the world, right? It's so easy to get caught up in looking at what other people are doing. What's the industry doing? What's cool? What's happening right now? Let me go try to recreate that. And, if that genuinely really, really, really is like your vibe and your lane, okay, cool. But I think, to be honest, it's so easy to get caught up in that. It's so easy to get lost in that, I should say, where we're just looking at what everybody else is doing. And maybe we're inspired by that. I always say it's one thing to download, right? Like I like to receive and download certain inspiration. I like to consume certain art and certain music and certain areas of creativity. But just because I like to consume that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what I also should be creating. That doesn't mean that that is what was imprinted on the DNA of my soul to actually come out of me, to come through me, right? And so I think it's one of the most important things on our journey is to stay authentic, because, the worst thing that happens when you're not authentic, well, one, most likely it's not going to resonate, right? Like it's the artists that are so confident in who they are. They're like, this is who I am. This is what I like making. This is me. And there's a level of energy that comes with that. There's like a palpable potency where it's like, ooh, that artist is just doing them. Like, you do you, boo. And when you do and you do it so well, it's like, well, one, nobody else can do it, right? Nobody else can do it because you are the only you. It's like, I am the only Nick Cherwink. Nobody else can do this shit. Nobody else can coach the way that I coach. Nobody else can run this podcast the way that I run this podcast because this is me, right? And in the same way, you are the only you out of 8 billion people in the world. You are the only person that can talk the way that you do, that can make your art the way that you do, that can express yourself in the way that you do, that can have the style that you do. Right? Yeah, we might get inspiration from other people, right? I've certainly learned from a ton of people along the way on how to coach and how to run a podcast and how to do the things that I do, but you get to do it in your own way. And so this really boils down to having a really deep relationship with yourself. One of the exercises that I have the people in my Headliner Mindset coaching group program and community do is morning pages. And that's writing down every morning when you wake up, writing 3 pages of just stream of consciousness writing, just journaling, right? But basically you wake up every day and have an honest conversation with yourself. Like, let me dig into the thoughts that are going on in my mind. Like, let me really dig into the questions that I'm thinking about, the answers that are hiding underneath that surface level of my conscious thought, and like really dig into myself. Imagine if I spent 20 minutes every day just having a conversation with myself, how much more I would really know myself, how much more in tune with myself I would be, so that when I do come out to express myself and when I do create anything, it's going to be from a place of groundedness. It's going to be coming from a place of really just knowing like who the fuck I am. And I think that that's a piece that can so easily get skipped over, especially when there is oftentimes so much pressure to keep up with the trends, to keep up with the industry, to keep up with like what's happening, you know, especially on social media as well. It's like we're just seeing what everyone else is doing. Well, okay, well, I should be doing that. Well, no, you should do you. Like, do you and do it so fucking well that it's undeniable. Now, lesson number 3, treat your career like a business. This was a huge one that I realized very early on in doing this podcast. I think it was with Henry Fong. I think it was maybe like my 4th or 5th episode that I had done. And it really, really clicked. It was like the first couple artists that I had on were saying the same thing. They're like, yeah, at some point I had to really start to treat this not just as a hobby, not just as, you know, art that I'm making for fun, but like this is my career. And so I need to treat it that way. And a really big light bulb went off in my head, you know, even teaching at Icon Collective for 7 years, which is such an incredible, powerful program and will always be my fucking family. Highly, highly recommend anybody that's ever considering going there. But that really is a music production program. It's like 95% of the focus is getting really good at making music. And that's awesome. But there's so much more that you have to learn if you want to then take that music and actually go and build a career out of it, to build a business around it. And I think that this is the missing piece for so many people is, well, one, it's like I understand it takes a lot of time and energy just to learn how to make music in the first place, right? And to get good at making music in the first place, for sure. It also takes probably just the same amount of time and energy to get good at running a business, right? I've been doing this shit for 7 years, learning how to run my business. And, you know, my industry has changed, you know, quite a bit. It's only really been in this last year that I've been like, oh, let me figure this business side out. Like, let me actually learn about marketing. And I'm still barely scratching the surface. But like, one of the questions I like to ask clients is what I call doing a time audit. And I'll ask them, how many hours a week do you put into producing music? And a lot of times they'll kind of feel a little cocky and proud and say, oh, I put in like 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's awesome. How much time do you put into working on your business? And they're like, shit, 1 or 2? I'm like, well, yeah, that's why you are still, you know, not full time yet and still haven't really put like that time and energy that it really, really, really takes, you know? So there's got to be a moment in everybody's career where you decide that this is going to be a career. And this is also a really big mindset shift that I like to offer people is to start seeing this as your career. You might have your day job. You might be making 200 grand a year at your, cool engineering job that you have, right? But look at that as like, that's actually the side hustle. That's not your career. If you really, in your heart and your soul, you have that calling and you have that desire to really go be a full-time artist, well, one, you got to decide if you're answering that calling, right? If you're just like, oh, I'm dipping my toes to kind of see if maybe this could possibly happen, well, putting in maybe kind of energy is going to get maybe kind of results. Right? You got to make the decision like, yeah, this is a goal and I am setting it as a goal and I'm going to do everything I possibly can to achieve that goal. I actually really am committed to making this happen. Like, okay, cool. Well, there's a mindset shift there. It was like, this is your career now, to start to build that career, to start to build that business, right? Your career, and let's not get it twisted. This is not a career that you're applying for a job and there's a promotional ladder that you're going to climb. Really, this is, I am starting a business. And if that is your choice, then you've got to start really learning how this business works. How does the industry work, right? What is it that I need to do? What is it that I need to focus on? Where do I need to be putting my time and my energy, right? For some of you, you might still be so early on in your music production journey that I wouldn't even actually worry about that shit yet, right? Sometimes people are like, I just started producing 6 months ago. I just started producing a year ago. And I'm ready to put myself out there and build my business. Well, I mean, it's one thing to just go share your music with people because you want to share your music. But to be honest, if you've only been producing for 6 months or a year, your music probably sucks. Your music is probably not ready for professional level, full-time touring the world artistry, right? Just straight up. And so I would say there's nothing wrong with going out there and sharing it, but like you might still be in a phase where like this stage of your business is creating the product. This is like research and development stage. Like we got to, build the fucking thing that we're going to sell first, right? And really, really go in on that and really, really get good at that. So for a lot of people, sometimes I'm recommending like, yeah, don't even worry about the business yet, right? But when you've decided like, hey, I'm ready to build an audience, I'm ready to start, networking. I mean, for me, there's really just a handful of things. One, I'm ready to build a brand, right? I'm ready to like really figure out like what is the package that I'm putting this product in. I'm ready to build a brand that's going to be cohesive. It's going to have a vision and intention. It's going to look cool. It's going to feel cool. I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm standing for besides just the music, right? Building a really good brand. I'm going to get really good at marketing. I'm going to really learn social media. I'm going to start getting this out in front of people. I'm going to start building a community, building an audience. I'm also going to start networking. I'm going to start meeting the right people, right? Meeting the right artists, managers, labels, like all that side of it. So I think that for everybody, there's got to be this moment where that switch flips and we really decide like, hey, this is going to be my career. This is my business. And I care about the business side. I know a lot of times there's a lot of resistance. Like, I just want to make music and kind of have other people take care of that side of it. And, unfortunately, it doesn't really work like that anymore, right? Fortunately and unfortunately. Fortunately, it's like, yo, you have all the fucking tools in front of you. Like I literally am running an entire business from my phone pretty much, like a phone and a laptop. You don't really need that much. You can do it yourself. We don't need huge record labels anymore. We don't need, huge financial investments anymore. You can make dope shit and build an audience literally from your phone. That's rad. But the mindset shift has to be, I'm willing to do this. I'm committed to doing this. I'm willing to put in the time and the energy and the effort and learn the things that I need to learn, right? So if you're struggling with that, if you're still feeling resistance around that, just know that like that is a hump that you've got to get over, of like really starting to see yourself as, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm running a business. Let me start learning about what it takes to run a business. And there's so many great resources out there. So there's really no excuses. Now, lesson number 4 is taking care of your mental and emotional health. We probably talk about this on every episode at some point. At least I do, because it's so important, right? Like we're talking about, being able to make music, being able to, build your business. But like one, especially as you're coming up, it's like if you are not in a good place mentally, then good luck, right? It's really, really hard to make music when you're feeling stressed. And this is a big thing that I see for a lot of people is that are coming up, as in, that are on the earlier start of their journey, they're trying to become full time, is just the amount of pressure that everybody puts on themselves, right? Putting so much pressure. I have to succeed. This person is succeeding faster. I only have so much time. Maybe a lot of times, I see people struggling with feeling like they started too late in the game. You just got to pay attention to like, what are your emotions and your mindset and your energy, right? Because if that isn't in a good place, you're not going to make great music. You don't make great music from a place of feeling stress. You don't make great content from a place of stress. You don't connect with your audience from a place of pressure and stress, right? That can serve you a little bit. That might light a little bit of a fire. Like, okay, you got to grind and you got to hustle, but that should be coming from a place of, I'm so fucking excited about this. I'm so excited to make music. I can't stop making music. I love this shit so much. I'm so excited to get this out in front of people. I'm so excited to make content and share these creative ideas that I have. I'm so passionate about expressing myself. I fucking love this game so much. Like, that's when you're going to win, right? And so, don't get me wrong. It's like, there's a lot of challenge just with being human. Being human is fucking hard, right? I'm 39. I feel like as I get older, being human just even gets harder. Like, depression is real, anxiety is real, comparison is real. There's so much shit going on all the time. We feel like we should be at a certain place. There's bills to pay, there's life challenges, relationship challenges, family challenges. There's crazy shit happening every time we open social media. There's a fucking war going on. Like, yeah, there's a lot happening. So we have to make sure that we are putting in time and energy and effort to make sure that we're good, right? Because there's going to be a million reasons to get pulled off course, right? Back to kind of that resilience. There's going to be so much challenge along the way. So the more that I take care of my mental health, the more that I take care of my emotional health, the stronger I am, the more centered, the more grounded, the more focused, the more disciplined, right? That's an internal game. Right? That's not the external game of building your business. This is building your internal kingdom, right? You're building the external kingdom. I'm trying to build, my following and my career and my business and my life. My external kingdom, I got to build my internal kingdom too. I got to be solid and I got to be fucking grounded. So it's really important that we're putting time and energy into that place. I mean, this is literally why I started doing what I'm doing, because I saw thousands of kids. And I say kids lightly, but I saw thousands of students, of artists come through Icon Collective. Even before that, being a manager, working at Capitol Records, working with fucking A-list artists. I saw so many of them succeed, but also saw so many of them never really do much and get caught up, right? And a lot of the times that's just getting caught up with ourselves, self-sabotaging ourselves, right? It's like trying to drive through life, trying to accelerate, but you got the parking brake on. Right? Why am I not accelerating as quickly as I want to? Right? A lot of us have our own invisible parking brake. We got to get out of our own fucking way. We got to get our mindset blocks out of the way. We got to really dig in and work on those limiting beliefs. This is why I started doing what I was doing, because I honestly don't think there's anybody else out there that's really doing it. And I'm working with artists all the time where it's like, okay, cool, yeah, you're working on the music, you're working on the brand and all this other stuff, but like, the reason you're not actually moving forward is because you got some mindset blocks. We got some limiting beliefs. We got some stuff on the inside that we have to clear up, that we have to work on. And here's the coolest thing. If you listen to the last episode I just put out with Sippy, who I just worked with as a client and as a coach, it's like, once you figure out where that invisible parking brake is and you click that shit down, boom, you're off to the fucking races. You will see so much more productivity. You will see better music. You will see better relationships. You will see more abundance and more opportunity come into your life. So I can't express that side of it enough. And it's so cool to see that, that was one of the most common talked about things from my guests specifically as well. The mental health, the emotional health as well, right? We also got to just take care of our heart and our soul. And sometimes like a lot of that is also stepping away and not only working on music and grinding all the time. Like, we also got to be human, I think, especially as artists, when you start to become successful, and I've heard a lot of bigger artists talk about this, you can kind of lose yourself, right? Everyone's just calling you by your artist name. and you start to just really identify with the project more than the human that's underneath it. I remember one time seeing Nightmare. He came to Icon for a visit, and I was like, "What's up, man? How you doing?" And right away, he was like, "Oh yeah, man. Like I'm good, and I'm going on the tour, and I'm doing this, and like this song just came out. I did this collaboration." I was like, "Yeah, cool." I was like, "How's Tyler doing?" I was like, "I wonder, like, how are you, dude?" You know what I mean? And we can get so lost. Even myself, I'm like, I'm Nick the coach or Nick the podcast guy. It's like, no, like I'm not headliner mindset. I'm fucking Nick the dude, you know? And so I got to feed my soul, and so do you. And I think a lot of times when things get overwhelming and frustrating and stressful, that's one of the most important things. It's like, all right, we got to take a little bit of time, go into nature, get your fucking feet on the ground, like go take a bubble bath, go do whatever you need to do to get your emotional life really in check. And, that's what I want to focus on for myself as well over this next month is just, taking care of myself a little bit. I'm gonna take a little road trip this weekend, take a little getaway, do a little bit of traveling, just like be with my loved ones, especially during the holidays. So I'm very much looking forward to that. We got to make sure we're taking care of our mental and emotional health. Now, number 5 is community. And I was so glad to see this one pop up because nobody succeeds alone. And I think especially in the nature of being a producer where you spend a lot of time by yourself in your room, staring at your laptop, just like digging in. And a lot of times it can be a very lonely journey. But when it comes to the business side, when it comes to growing, you really got to work with other people. Not just on that side of it as well, like collaborating and having peers that you're leaning on, especially because it can be so lonely at times. We need to have other peers that are on the journey with us, right? Because most people are not living this kind of lifestyle. I noticed this for myself as a coach. I got into coaching before coaching was cool. Now everybody and their mom's a fucking coach. But 7 years ago, this was not really a popular industry. And I remember starting doing it, and it was the first maybe 6 months or the first year. I didn't know anyone else. So it was just, I just had books. I would just buy books on Amazon. I'm like, okay, I'm learning. And there wasn't really even a lot of content out back then. Finally, I joined a coach training program, and every weekend I got to go in and meet all these other people that were working towards becoming a coach. I was like, fuck yeah, I found my tribe. I found my community, and it was so helpful. It changed the game. It's literally why I moved to Austin, Texas. I was living in LA and Southern California, forever. And LA was so great to be there for the music industry. And then when I decided I wanted to be a coach, I got in a program, and a lot of the people from that program were all in Austin. And Austin is just this hot spot, kind of like for EDM and the music industry. LA is a hot spot. Austin is a hot spot for coaching. All the coaches are out here. So I thought I was, at that time when I got into coaching, I was kind of getting out of the music industry, came to Austin to be with people, to be around community. Because I was like, man, I can't be on this journey alone. I've obviously since kind of got back into the music industry with coaching, but really what I'm getting at is that we all need people by our side. We are pack animals, something I like to point out. Like wolves, right? The way that wolves hunt is that they hunt together, right? They corner their prey, they strategize, and they chase down their prey together. That's how they eat, that's how they survive. We forget, as humans, we're animals. We are animals too. We are pack animals. We are tribal beings. And just like a wolf, when you hear a wolf howling at the moon, and it's just one wolf, it's not howling because he's happy. It's howling because it's dying. It got separated from the pack, and it's starving to death, and it's howling out of pain and trying to find its tribe, right? And we think about, man, where our society is now, we've been so segregated and so isolated in so many ways. I mean, especially with COVID, we're still, I think, kind of coming back from that, but even that created a new culture of working from home. I don't know if any of you guys out there are working from home. I work from home. I work by myself. I run my own business. I almost had a fucking breakdown like a year and a half ago, like hardcore. That was when I wanted to quit coaching. I was like, I can't fucking do this alone anymore. because we need peers. We need people that we're tapped into, that we're plugged into. That's why, kind of unknowingly, I started the Headliner Mindset coaching group and community. That, to be honest, was just this sort of calling. I didn't really know what it was. Similar to the podcast, I didn't have a vision for it. It was just like this intuitive idea. Hey, start a podcast. Okay. I was just surrendering to the calling. Same thing with my program in my community. I was just like, the little voice was in my head. Hey, start a program. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's follow that. But now seeing what it's become, where we have this beautiful community where people are working together. They're supporting each other. We celebrate our wins. We fucking dance together on every call. I love them so much. But, it's this beautiful thing where we all get to win together. We have so much more fun together, but also everybody's helping each other accelerate more quickly. It's like, oh yeah, here's, get some feedback on this track, or, oh, here's a plugin that like can help you do this thing. And it's like, it's just rad to see. I mean, if you think about Icon Collective as well, the whole reason, is a collective first and foremost. It's not just a school. My program is not just a coaching program, but it's a collective and a community and a group of people that are working together, that have a similar mindset, that are working towards a similar goal. And that was, also one of the things that was brought up multiple times and time again from my guests, was just the importance of having community. So really cool to see that one pop up. If you don't have a community yet, that definitely is something I'm going to focus on over the next month, and keep an eye out for the next launch of the Headliner Mindset program and community, probably within the, I'd say second or third week of January, we'll launch another round of that. So definitely stay tuned. If you're not following me on Instagram yet, definitely follow me on Instagram, probably where I post the most. Also, I'm going to bring my newsletter back. If you want to sign up for my newsletter, you guys can go to my website, just nickcherwink.com, nickcherwink.com. I want to bring the newsletter back. I miss writing. I used to write a lot. Some of you guys are probably subscribed to my newsletter. It's been a while. That's one of the things I want to focus on over this next month, is to get that going again. This has been such a rad platform, and today has been an interesting experience, just to sit here and kind of ramble and talk to myself. So appreciate you guys all going through this first solo episode with me. But writing for me is also really fun, because I can really sit down and kind of, put my words together. It's an art form in its sense. It's kind of like a Tetris puzzle. It's like, how do I get my point across in like a succinct and maybe even a little bit of a poetic way? So keep an eye out for that. I hope that you guys have enjoyed this very first solo episode. I truly do appreciate all of you for tuning in, for support. I know some of you have been listening since the very, very beginning. Like I said before, it's just been really incredible to see what all of this has turned into. I love connecting with all of you. Please don't hesitate to reach out. I always love connecting with you guys, receiving DMs and having the conversations that we have behind the scenes. So I appreciate all of the support. Please like, subscribe, tell all your friends. I'm really excited to scale the podcast really over the next year. I think I want to, really spend some time to sit down and think about what that looks like. But yeah, get ready for some great content and some great interviews coming up. Also, let me know if you like the solo episode. This was an interesting experience today. Was it cool? Is it super annoying to just listen to me blabber by myself for, an hour or however long it's been? But yeah, I would love to get some feedback. And wishing all of you the best, wishing you guys a happy holiday season as it approaches, and very much looking forward to being back in January. See you guys then.